1, what is not efficient? 2, what is not ethical? 3, where do we see integrity gaps?
I am a student of democracy. I believe that democracy must strive, but I believe that Africa must develop its own version of democracy. The Western democracy is not suitable for Africa.
It's not working, eh?
Absolutely not. It doesn't work for Africa. You look at Rwanda. Rwanda is celebrated by the West, but what they practice in Rwanda is not the Western democracy. You go to Botswana, it's not the Western democracy. They have adopted it for themselves. But you see, let us call a spade a spade. The West is running riots, and I'm happy. My salute goes out to the Nigerian Senate for telling Bola Ahmed Tinubu that he should focus on dealing with Boko Haram. You can't deal with Boko Haram and you are going to fight the president of another country.
Even the Biafran.
There's rampant armed robbery on the streets of Nigeria. You can't travel after certain times, and you want to go and do what? Because Western puppet masters are asking you to go into an African state. What was France's interest in Niger? And you should begin to ask yourself what's happening in Francophone Africa. People are waking up. People are waking up and saying that, look, we can no longer be taken
Mali
for
has
stooges.
Associated itself.
Absolutely.
And now Niger seems to be following the trend.
And for me, it is this awakening in the next generation of Africans that we are capable of managing our own affairs and that we must unite. We must have a new cadre. Look across the landscape of Francophone Africa, with the exception of the Niger guy who is a bit elderly. I think he's about 61 or so. All the other guys, the Burkinabe, the Mali, the Guineans, they're young soldiers. You understand me? Africa needs a crop of young leaders who are Afrocentric in their thinking and who will say to the West and Europe, we would stay, hold our own, trade amongst ourselves. We will only trade with you if you are willing to come and negotiate with us as equals. This whole capitulation, this whole sense that we are inferior, that we are incapable of managing our affairs. Look, a black man, Kwame Nkrumah, showed that it is possible.
Your problem is that you are saying you don't want colonialism, but you embrace the borders that were brought by colonialism here. There were no borders here. There have never been borders here. And that, is it Berlin Conference? It's not long time ago. It's traceable. The borders started then. The people will never leave their countries to your country if their economy and their government is working. Limpopo is very poor. There is no border between Gauteng and Limpopo. But Limpopo people have not left Limpopo to come to Gauteng. Yet Gauteng has got more resources. Why can't they leave Limpopo and come here? If these people wanted to come here, this fence was not going to stop them. No one wants to come here. They are coming to look for opportunities, and that's what we must encourage with all of you, especially the unemployed youth of South Africa. Let Africa be your playing ground. We were conditioned to think that we are superior and we are a country that is defined out of the continent. There are many countries in the continent that are doing so well, and they can use your skill, and they use dollars, by the way, some to pay.
Okay.
So our position didn't change.
All right.
I have no time for borders. Why? I have no time for colonialism. How would you say to me, go and change French on the passport, and then come at the same time and say, when's my board? Yeah. Leave the borders alone, but remove French. Removing of French on the passport is part of decolonizing. They don't have borders in Europe. But when it comes to us, they say, no, you must have borders. Why? The division of Africa is what makes them thrive. They thrive on the division of the African continent. Can you imagine the minerals of DRC combined with the minerals of South Africa and with a new currency based on the minerals? What we can do to the dollar if we become a United States of Africa with our minerals alone? We can collapse the dollar. We can collapse the strong pound that is based on gold, yet they don't have a gold mine. So why do you allow such things? So my position is informed by that. And someone says, no, we won't vote you if you say such things, we won't vote for you. He's asking me to lie so that he can go around saying politicians lie. When I tell the truth, I won't vote for you. I must lie so that they can vote for me. There were no borders, and we must all of us unite in that call.
Yeah.
Free movements of persons, free movements of goods will make this country flourish. We will even produce our own products. One thing that you South Africans undermine yourself with is that you are the America of Africa. If you are to produce anything here, Africa will receive it with both hands. They will say, this one is from South Africa. You are known for quality, yet you still don't produce a car. Open the borders. Let the goods move. Let people move. Then produce a car that is South African and sell it to the billions of people who are out there waiting for products from South Africa.
All right.
We don't produce anything, yet we've got market by the ANC for saying Botswana has got an American base and poses a threat to South Africa. Mbalula repeated it a few days ago. Mbalula said Botswana is a threat with an American base. He's not charged. But I was charged for that. And that one didn't want me for that. Because I said we need to remove the government of Botswana through the people of Botswana and put a government that will dismantle that base, which is putting a threat on the whole of SADC. Because a research was conducted, the landing strip that is there in the army base of Botswana, they say it can land a fighter jet which can take less than 2 minutes if it wants to hit the Union building. So if America says we're fighting South Africa, it doesn't have to send anything from Washington. They are here already. And that's what Putin doesn't want in Ukraine. They want to do what they did here in Botswana, in Ukraine. We allowed it. And our position as the EFF is that that army base must be removed because it poses a threat to SADC. And he didn't want me to say, he banned me for my political opinion. I didn't say we're going to bomb Botswana or anything of that sort. But he was threatened by the honesty that we shared with people.
All right.
And people need to know that there is a base here which can flatten South Africa in less than no time if America decides to fight with us. It doesn't have to move anything from Washington. Actually, by the time we assemble our equipment,
with optimism and with confidence. To paraphrase Nelson Mandela, our choices must reflect our hopes and not our fears. We are not afraid to take our responsibility. You must find the courage to take yours. Because France cannot remain trapped in an outdated vision of the African continent. We have come to propose solutions and to dialogue with you because we have a different, a more admirable future to propose. Not necessarily because we are going to be comfortable about what will change, but because at this point, it is the only thing that makes sense. But before we present this vision to you, Mr. President, there are some profound truths that need to be told in order to clear the air. And that is why I invite Adele on stage to present the facts. Thank you very much.
Bonjour. Je m'appelle
Hello,
Adele Onyango.
I'm Adele
Je viens
Onyango,
du Kenya.
and I come from Kenya.
And that is exactly as far as my French will take me. So, I'm really honored and happy to be here today because I think it is no secret that the current relationship between Africa and France is complicated. And in order for us to build a relationship that addresses issues that affect not only Africa, not only France, but the globe, then it's important for us to interrogate this very complicated relationship and ask ourselves three things. One, what is not efficient? Two, what is not ethical? Three, where do we see integrity gaps? And to be able to do these three things, we're going to have to be brutally honest. The history of colonization is understandably very important. For Africa, it's a path that is as painful as it is destructive. And the effects of colonization can still be felt to date. And I'm not just saying economically, but even on an interpersonal level. We, as Africans, feel the pain of colonization every single day. Now, the lack of a clear and strong acknowledgement of the continent's pain on this destructive past results in skepticism. And the absence of actions that will further push the acknowledgement is also a major issue in the current France and Africa relationship. In fact, the air of denial that France chooses to sit in is uncomfortable, not only for Africa, but also for France. And it does no good for either one of us. How can you trust the source of your pain when the source doesn't acknowledge it? What we end up with is skepticism on what exactly does France stand for. And so we ask you, Mr. President, how strong can a relationship that is built on pain, that is built on skepticism, and that is built on lack of trust really be? We, not just as a team here, but all of us in this room, and the 5,000 who helped with the report, and the millions more on the continent and off of the continent, want a commitment from you, Mr. President, that you will join us in the eradication of La France Afrique, which is a very unfair dominance, and it has to end. Furthermore, the breakdown in understanding what France fully stands for is fueled by the continued collaborations that France has with agencies, leaders, and individuals who have glaring integrity issues, whilst on the other hand, claiming to be standing for human rights. So on one hand, we have France that is entrenched in issues around racism, around exploitative dominance, and whilst on the other hand, they're still claiming to teach others about democracy. These are two profiles that one cannot fill at the same time. And when you try to do that, we find it rather arrogant. What it creates is a cognitive dissonance, which is that discomfort you feel because of these two conflicting values. It not only doesn't make sense, it is unsustainable, it births a negative perception, and an ambiguity in knowing once again what values does France stand for. Now, it is very clear, because we are all here, that the current relationship is imbalanced. It's not collaborative, and in some instances, it's exploitative. We have social impact solutions built without any input from relevant African civil society organizations who are a resource when it comes to really understanding problems on the ground and creating solutions that run efficiently. And they're a resource that Africa is willing to lend to France. Let's also not forget that whilst we in this room are here because we want to change and repair this relationship, there are some who are benefiting from this current dysfunctional relationship, be it private businesses from France on the continent with non-ethical practices, or corrupt individuals and groups from both France and Africa. This group, and the lack of a very loud and public condemnation of this, obviously fuels skepticism. So this honest interrogation is a very important first step, because the strengths and weaknesses of this current relationship will dictate the success or failure of our collective future relationships. But we are not only telling you what's not working. We are very solution-driven, which is much unlike the heads of states that you're used to meeting. We know exactly what you need to commit to today, and we have a clear path on how we can achieve that. And that is what my brother Arthur will share with you. Arthur, c'est à toi. Thank you.